Let's go to Steven. Hello, Steven. You're up next.
Hey Bart, how's it going?
All right, Steven, you got a hand for us?
Yeah, I do. First things first, I'm in my truck. You can hear me all right?
We can, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, no, so this game's a 5, 10, 20 out in Playground just outside Montreal.
Oh, okay. That's a place that I've played at one time. Do they do poker in Casino Montreal? It's a place I never hear about, but I've been there
They
too.
they do. I don't live there. I live in Ottawa. I'm about 2 hours out of Montreal. And the handful of
Hmm.
times I go, they're within 20 minutes of each other, but all the action's at Playground, so that's way more fun.
Okay. Say hi to Jordan Peterson for me. 5, 10, 20. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll make sure to reach out to him. Yeah, 5, 10, 20. Um, action folds around to the hero on the button.
How deep are you?
4,700 effective.
Oh, okay.
Max
Nice.
buy-in's 2K.
So you built yourself up a little stack here.
Actually, I was sitting on over 7K. This is the effective stack was the
Okay.
Stradler.
Okay. Wow. You built yourself a nice little stack up then. So 4,700 and heroes on the button. Okay.
Yeah, heroes on the button opens to 60, and the Stradler defense.
With
Oh, opens with five of clubs, five of hearts.
five of clubs, five of hearts on the button, and the straddler calls. So you're just heads up, right?
Yeah, heads up action,
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Flop comes down four hearts, five of diamonds, eight of clubs.
Four of hearts, five of diamonds, eight of clubs. So hero flops, middle set.
Yeah, yeah, and action goes check. Hero leads out 65. Stradler raises to 225.
Straddler check raises to 225. All right, a couple things to be said here.
Yeah.
It's interesting about this configuration. Number one, just right off the bat, too, it's great that you flop top set. Excuse me, middle set. It's great that you flop the set, right? With your 3x sizing, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of straddlers thinking that they're getting a price and the dead money are going to complete here with all 6-7, including 6-7 off because they're closing the action and they're getting a price. So there are a number of different combinations of hands that you lose to here in the form of 16.
Oh, absolutely. There's
Yeah,
there's there's a few of them, especially with the closing the action and it being heads up, right? So,
absolutely.
I had been pretty aggressive, so it wouldn't surprise me to see this guy defending wider. But when he check raised, it threw me for a little bit of a loop.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I would say is that I'm not sure what you would have done if you were like under the gun, but you definitely do get to bet this board more from the button because you're opening so many hands. So like
Oh,
the
100%. I'm doing this with all pairs. I'm doing this with any backdoor draw, any ace five, ace
sure.
four. I'm gonna continue one third with a pretty wide part of my range.
Yeah. And, it's just one of these things where maybe under the gun, you might even consider checking a lot of overpairs. And then if certain situations check 100, you're supposed to check your good hands. But that's not really the case here on the button. So the guy makes it 225. I assume you're going to play this as a call, right?
Yeah, I played it as a call. I mean,
Yep.
I contemplated three betting for a couple of seconds and then realized like, what other hands am I ever doing this with that I'm going to get called by, other than 6-7?
Yeah, I think three betting here is pretty optimistic when we talk about, him having a lot of those 6-7 type of hands. So we're off to the turn. It looks like the pot's like 575 ish, right?
Yeah, I've got it here at 600. Turn comes out two of hearts.
All right, so the turn here is the two of hearts, which doesn't really change a whole lot, right?
Not in my mind, no.
Yep, yep, okay.
And this is where like, I had some pretty evil intentions on this turn card, but under the gun overbet to 700.
So what's the deal with this guy? So he overbets to 700. What's the deal with this under the gun guy here?
I mean, it's the biggest game in the room, and there was a big tournament series going on. So I've played this game. This will probably be the third or fourth night in a row that I'd been playing this game. This particular individual, I'd never played with them, and it's not a very deep pool of people that play this game. More often than not, people that are at Playground are playing 1-2, 2-5. When there's a 5-10 game running, it's a very narrow pool of players that play it. So this particular individual, I don't know if he was taking a shot or whatnot. I mean, I could tell you after the fact because I went and sat down and had a drink with him and picked his brain about this hand. But, I find out after the fact he's a blue-collar guy like myself. Just a fun recce, above average rec, I guess you would call it. And I gave him credit for that at the time. People don't take shots at the biggest game in the room unless they have some kind of, poker knowledge. They're not
Sure.
just blasting off.
By the way, I take back what I just said. Actually, the deuce does change something in the form of that ace three and six three are now straights that come in. And I mean, I don't think that there's really any question here that you should be calling across this turn for sure. And it's really hard for me to imagine many rivers that are bricks where I'm not going to call, because I think you have to have some strong hands. Now, obviously, there's some one-liners that can come in, and also you have to notice to the backdoor heart if the guy is structuring correctly. And you get like a river, again, it's 8-5-4 rainbow, turns the deuce of hearts. Maybe if you get like a six of hearts or seven of hearts or something like that, we can discuss whether or not you might have some backdoor flushing hands that might be better calls if for some reason he goes crazy, crazy all in. But I did want to point that out because I think some of the primary bluffs on the flop here would be hands like the ace six, ace seven with the backdoor, possibly ace three that it might not be like three bet off with a backdoor. Could be 6-3 suited here too if he decides. I mean, that might be one of them too, which of course it comes in here. But I think we can all agree that you're calling across here on the turn.
Well, I'm never folding, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But should I ever even consider raising to
I
an
don't think
overbet on
so.
this position?
I don't think so because I think you need to. I mean, I know you say the guy is kind of like a rec player, but I mean, I would start to think about how I'd play all the other hands too, and like overpairs and things like that. And
Well, and
um,
don't give me too much credit. I'm painfully average poker player myself. So
no, I think calling is square here. I really do. And it's I don't even know what other hands that I might exploitably raise here. Where the exploit might come in, I might exploitably raise here if I have 6-7 personally, because the guy's showing so much strength and I don't want action killing cards to come. But that literally might be it, and I still might find a call with 6-7 with the suit that comes in, which is kind of the theory. But I would definitely call with your hand. So you call.
yeah, so that's what ended up happening. I ended up calling, and
Mm-hmm.
then so pot's $2,000, and the river comes out jack of clubs.
Okay, so that is a brick. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, it
That's a
was
brick.
pretty bricky in my mind at the time.
Yep, yep.
And so now the villain bets 875.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he was gonna jam all in.
Well, I was praying for it.
Oh, so you were just gonna call off square for sure.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about MDF, what am I not calling with? Like, if I'm not calling with pocket fives.
Absolutely. That's what I said in the previous street. Like the caller, if your opponent jams here for what would have been two times the pot, right? He probably had like 3,700 left. You have to call.
Yep.
Because you have one of the best hands that you're. What do you not? You took the words right out of my mouth, right? On a brick, you have to call. So you said he bets 875 here.
Yeah, and then so I'm tanking and I'm really thinking this one through because I'm
Sounds like
like,
you're thinking about raising or something.
absolutely. But then I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I raise and he jams over top, it changes the dynamic, right? It's not like he just open jammed. And do I want to put myself in that position? Now, I'm not playing with scared money or anything like that, so that's not the case. It's am I supposed to raise here, or am I just
I don't think so.
call?
No, I don't think you're supposed to. Here's the times when you would be comfortable raising on a board like this. It would have to be a more extreme pre-flop setup where you don't think that your opponent has 6-7 here, but when he's in the straddle and he's going to be completing many combinations of hands because obviously you made it 3x, you have to be very very worried. And where the difference would be is it would probably be close if I had ace three. Like if I were you and I see bet the flop with ace three in a backdoor and you decided to peel and you hit it and you played the turn as a call and then you hit this and he goes 875. I think ace three is close because the straddle can have so many hands. Ace three might be a slam dunk raise in a different setup where the guy doesn't have 6-7. But here with a set of fives, I think you just do have to call here. And I don't think it's close. I think that you've played it fine. And if he had done something crazy, I would have called the jam. Like I said, I think you're right on, but I do think that this is a square call here, I think.
Yeah. So, anyways, so that's what I ended up doing. I ended up calling, and this is where it gets really interested. So he shows up with pocket kings.
So you call.
Yeah, I called.
Okay. And villain shows up with pocket kings.
Yeah, and so like I said, I ended up buying the guy a drink afterwards to pick his brain. And because if he had
I'm not sure if there's much
bet,
picking the brain there.
Well, how do you three bet pre? I'm probably getting all his money because I can shrink the range and not put any 6-7s in it, right?
No,
Or
absolutely. Absolutely.
so, it's kind of one of those ones like he saved money by not playing optimally.
Well, I mean, that's just one of those things, right? You can sometimes get, I've seen this a lot. It's like the butterfly effect of poker where somebody does something that they should have done differently pre-flop and you would have won a big hand, but then it goes the other way too, where sometimes you might lose a big hand as well in a given situation. But I mean, when you open from the button in this configuration, he should basically always be three betting king, king. Yeah, he would have probably lost his, unless he did some crazy, crazy pot control, he probably would have lost his stack to you. But it's kind of interesting in retrospect. Like if you knew he had king, king, if you absolutely knew he had king, king, or if you knew he would sometimes like play like, big pocket pairs, like in a sort of a cagey manner, whether or not you throw in a raise. But I think that's just really, really sort of stretching it. I think you played the hand fine. I really do.
Wow, that's interesting because I've bounced this hand back and forth with a few people that I hold in high regards, and I've gotten wicked, wicked mixed reviews. And then that's when I was like,
Really?
you know what?
You've gotten from people that you respected, they thought you should have raised the river?
Yeah, no, actually, a lot of them thought I should have raised the turn.
Against an
And,
overbet with middle set?
and that's what I'm getting at, right? Like, and maybe stack depth comes into play. If we had been on, both on a 2K starting stack effective, maybe I find a raise jam on the turn and just, what, if you've got 6-7 or if you've got pocket eights, okay, here, take my money. But because we're playing so deep, it's kind of one of those ones where I don't want to proceed with too much caution, which is what some people were telling me I was doing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those hindsight's always 2020.
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. I don't remember who it was. It was somebody from a old training, who said something really wise, like back in the day. It might have been one of my Simoleus podcasts where the deeper you are in no limit, the more the hands turn to like very polarized and not non-nut. Now, obviously at 5, 10, 20, you're not super deep because you're only 4,700 effective, but the more money you put in, the more you have to be cautious when you have a non-nut hand, and especially in this setup, in this configuration. But I think you were a first-time caller, Steve. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
No, Bart, appreciate the feedback, man. You're awesome. Keep up the great work.
Got it. Thanks a lot.